it's always a pleasure to join you. And so we have a wonderful, wonderful program this evening, but I got to give you your little updates coming into it. So Isaiah, if you run it for us, okay? Now, okay, now I want to be very and when Mr. Slavin comes up, Joe comes up, he's going to be talking about because he's with Calstart, okay? And so he's going to be talking about Calstart, the work that they do throughout North America, but they're very heavily centered here in California. But remember, and we've partnered with them too. And remember, they are doing programming and we are doing programming on clean technology careers, okay? And so last week on the 27th, for the community, they had a big community-wide virtual, let's talk about clean transportation careers. And what we've said is that if you listen to that or attended it in person, but just like we do here, it's asynchronous. If you listen to this one, which is very helpful, they're talking about businesses and everything. I mean, these are folks who are just like you and just like me. Then this will count as one of your 5 sessions because it's just that meaty. Mr. Omar was actually sat in the session. It's just that meaty, and I wish you would listen. All the speakers are excellent, but there are a couple of them that really talk about business opportunities as young professionals, how they have really looked at this and how they're actually doing businesses in the whole area of clean technology that they never would have thought about doing if not for this. So anyway, it's on all you have to do now, you do have to register the same as you do for all of our classes here. But when you register and you go in, then they'll notify, and then you'll be able to get the download for it. And then that download, we will make sure that all of you get picked up as that is another one of your sessions. So I wanted you to be aware of that because remember, we're getting close on this, okay? Then the next one that we want to make you aware of, this is a big one, okay? The U.S. Department of Transportation has their own internship program that they do annually. And this one is for college students, okay? And I checked everything, no questions. San Bernardino Valley College absolutely qualifies because I wanted to be real clear about whether community college would count as well. They came back and they told me, absolutely, Dr. B. So now we're going to come back on these, but this is a summer program. It's in Washington, D.C. The applications for this program go in at the end of January. And so we're going to be coming back to remind you January 31st, okay? But these are absolutely wonderful. They'll pay all your expenses. They are paid internship. It is in the District of Columbia. You will be working with the DOT people and all of that. So anyway, so make sure you look at this one because that's another one that's a good one, and we'll come back on it so that we can look at at another time to look at what they're actually what the requirements are, and it will give you an opportunity to read about it too. Okay, so now those are our 2 goodies for. Remember, we want you to go in and tune in on that Calstart program. And the other one we want you to do is start reading up on this US DOT summer internship opportunity in Washington, D.C. And with that, it gives me a tremendous pleasure to introduce the wonderful, the fabulous Joe Slavin. He's wonderful, okay? And it's just been now he comes out of the energy sector. Okay, and really workforce generally, but he's really very, very much been Southern California Edison, has just come over to Calstart, which we're really, really excited about, and has been doing this stuff for, I'm not gonna date you, Joe, but I'm a little bit older than he is. But anyway, and he's gonna talk about just how transformative this work really is. So it gives me a real pleasure to introduce Joe. And Joe, if you take it away and the magic of these careers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Beverly Scott. Beverly, you've been wonderful, and been engaging with Beverly and Isaiah for quite a few months here, and been looking forward to making this presentation. It was really exciting to be able to move over to Calstart from Southern California Edison, just as a brief introduction. and to actually come here and we're actually doing the workforce development work. You know, lo and behold, here I am, and I'm double dipping here in a way. So it was just really exciting to continue the process. I got a chance to, I really do recommend sitting in and trying to get to those meetings, the ones that are coming up and the ones that have already been presented, with a lot of detail, a lot of very good information for you, for family members, others. It's just really exciting. And I really want to share it because I have an excitement for this. And I've shared this with Dr. Scott. One of the things that when I was at Edison a little over 2 years ago, just before the pandemic hit, I asked the question of the CEO in front of the whole organization: what are we doing as a company to inspire, to raise everyone's sights as to what's going to be happening in electrification, especially in transportation electrification? And for some reason, here I am and involved in it. Got a chance to be, you know, dealing with Beverly and with the others. It's just been so wonderful, and this really is the opportunity for the future for all of us. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's the title of my presentation. Do we want to start presenting?
Yes, take it away.
All right, I'm ready to go. So really excited, and really excited to present today. Transportation and innovation, a look at major jobs creation. So I'm with Calstart. I've been doing recruiting for a long time, and I'm so excited to be able to present jobs, opportunities, where things are going, you know, transformation of transformation innovation. So what's happening now and what's happening in our industry is so very important to all of us, and it's very important, critical to the Inland Empire. San Bernardino is impacted. There's a number of facilities. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the number of jobs that are, you know, located in and around the area. So I want to recommend you follow Calstart on LinkedIn. It becomes a drip marketing opportunity. You'll be able to learn a lot. There's a lot of great articles that are coming out. Take a look. My contact information on LinkedIn. So we'll go through that a little bit later. So I want to talk about California living. So in Southern California, you know, California is a dream for many of us. It's a beautiful place. People talk about the weather, as we were just hearing in some of our chat. However, there's some challenges. So, you know, how many of us live near a burgeoning and ever-growing warehouse and distribution center, freeways and roadways? This is typical of the Inland Empire. So there are a lot of activism going on to try to clean the energy. Not only that, there's a lot of activity, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. How many of us live near smog and greenhouse, you know, where smog and greenhouse gases wind up in our neighborhoods that come from the east? How many of us? I'm one of those. So I have that is happening in my neighborhood. I live near the 210 corridor, so I'm constantly, you know, involved, you know, being involved in that. I grew up in New York City, lived in LA, Pasadena, and you know, everywhere I've been in Southern California, we're having to deal with greenhouse gases and having to deal, you know, so we all live in those environments. But for our families and friends, you know, how many want to take part in changing that? That's a real critical thing. It's very important. So for transportation electrification, you know, for all of us who answered that we want to take part in that, the future is here and now. So the future is here and now, and you know, and to change the world that we live in, and that's happening, and it needs to happen with us, and we need to be all in. You know, the jobs are here and now, and they're going to be many more coming over the next years ahead. These jobs and opportunities are not far off, but they're within our reach, and it's a very quick turnaround before you can be directly involved in these opportunities as they're coming. Mm-hmm. So what do you want to do to be part of that future? How many want to be part of that future? I'd like to see, you know, for the Mentimeter. Right. And what do you want to do to be part of that? And how do you want to take a part in changing all of what's happening in our society with greenhouse gases? And, you know, mm-hmm. So I hear some comments. Make sure that the work is sustainable. I want to help shift to green energy. Inform my friends and family about this. That's perfect. That is just awesome. So I can't read all of those, but there's more down here. So I think this is exciting because I think this is this is key of informing our family, our friends, our neighbors. You know, we need to be communicating. Thank you. Raise awareness on why they need green energy. So this is just awesome. So very good. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So we have we've just had an infrastructure bill approved. I think it's the next slide. One slide up, if we would. There you go.
Yeah.
So some impacts of the infrastructure bill. Will be another question at the end of this slide. So we have opportunities in public transit, replacing thousands of transit vehicles, including buses, with clean zero emission vehicles. I'm quoting directly. I'm going to quote this verbatim here. And it will benefit communities of color, since these households are twice as likely to take public transportation, and many of these communities lack sufficient public transit options. Electric vehicles, EVs. The bill will provide funding for deployment of EV chargers along highway corridors, which is really something that's happening here and now. Along highway corridors to facilities, long distance travel, and within communities to provide convenient charging where people live, work, and shop. Federal funding will have a particular focus on rural, disadvantaged, and hard to reach communities. School buses. The deal will deliver thousands of electric school buses nationwide, including to rural communities, helping school districts across the country to buy clean, American-made, zero-emissions buses and replace the yellow school bus fleet for America's children. Airports, ports, waterways. The act will drive electrification and other low-carbon technologies. Modern, resilient, and sustainable airport, and freight infrastructure will support U.S. competitiveness by removing bottlenecks and expediting commerce, and reduce environmental impact on neighboring communities. All of that is happening right now. So what are your thoughts on the infrastructure bill?
Don't everybody jump at one time. Oh, I like it. That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
There you go. I love it.
I
Anybody else have any comments or thoughts? So let me tell you some of the things that are happening there's something very important. I'm not 100% about what it is. All right. So one of the things that's happening is the infrastructure bill will include. I think we need it. I think it's good. It's good, I think. Well, let me tell you what's happening. So one of the things that's happening, Dr. Scott and I have talked about this, even before it actually came to fruition, finalized. So at the Port of Long Beach in LA, a lot of the vehicles that actually transport the equipment between the docks and the trucks are now electrified. And now what's happening is that they're going to electrify the whole area from the Port of Long Beach up the 710, the 60, and all the way out to the Inland Empire, where all the warehousing is. So for those of you that see the Amazon warehouse, the Walmart warehouses, and all the other warehousing that's available, that's happening in your communities, all of that's going to eventually be electrified. Right. They're going to be electrifying the that's called off-road, a lot of it, when you're electrifying the actual you're electrifying the actual equipment that's being used in the warehousing. Then there's also going to be electrification, where there's going to be charging stations for the trucks. The trucks are going to be the diesel. They're going to get away from diesel trucks and have electric trucks. And there's going to be infrastructure all along those routes, so that individuals will be able to get off the freeway, do some high-speed charging, get back on the freeway again. Then there's going to be long distance, short haul trucks, heavy duty, light duty, and there's so much happening, for many of us. And this creates jobs. This is what's really key to this. Right. And this is part of the reason for the bill. It's not only it's going to create jobs, as the bill says, is going to be American-made infrastructure, American-made vehicles, American-made. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So,
and Joe, I'm gonna pop in just a little bit, just to to put it in the biggest context possible. Okay, I think almost everybody, I know, a lot of times people don't really teach old history like they used to, but you'll hear about the New Deal and Franklin Roosevelt. Okay, And really, we're still a very young country compared to when you talk about the world, okay? And most of the infrastructure the modern infrastructure, what we call modern in the entire United States today, much of it was driven by the New Deal that came after the Depression. And the whole thing was about, let's put America back to work, okay? So when you look at, and these are not billion, they are trillion, trillions of dollars. So when you hear about yes, the numbers gone from, there was talk about a 6 trillion, a 4 trillion, a 3, but this is roughly, it's going to be a couple of $trillions, which is bigger it is bigger than what we spent to the New Deal to make America what America is today. Okay. And so when Joe and others, this is no joke. Okay. I mean, this is the biggest investment that we will as a nation have been putting into refurbishing and modernizing our infrastructure in decades. Okay. So it's going to drive jobs. It's going to drive business opportunities, all of that. And let's put it this way, it has the potential to drive it. And that's why as we continue to go through all of this program, that's why it's so important for you to be engaged and involved as citizens, okay? Because I'll be clear, infrastructure is wonderful, but it can do bad, it can do good, and it can do not so good. And what makes the difference is that we really stay involved and engaged and are very clear that we want it to be clean energy. We want it to be sustainable. We want it to help to create good jobs. So that, a lot of preaching about it, but we as a country having nothing to do with the pandemic, let our infrastructure start going down. And now this really gives us an opportunity to make those good new investments again. So
absolutely,
that's what we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking into some of these questions. It's good. I think I didn't know about the bill until today. I think we need it. One of the questions is, can you talk about the money cuts? I saw somewhere it went from $6 billion to $1.5 billion. I'm assuming like investing into the infrastructure bill. So
yeah, well, actually, let's get rid of the B as a T. Okay, so the first thing is that it's a trillion. We're talking about $1 trillion here. And the original program, because bear in mind, this was not, if you go back, you'll see for over the last probably 2 decades, and certainly the last decade, we have been talking about the need to reinvest in America's infrastructure. I don't want to do a class on that right now, but a report. We do a report card every 2 years on the grading our infrastructure, and we've been doing like B's and C's because it's been aging. So then on top of that, we wind up getting the pandemic globally. And on top of that, we start having this really major transformation in technology and the climate change and all of that. So all of that's really come together in one gigantic, it's like we finally did it, okay? Big investment package. And this package is probably going to wind up being in pieces. Let's look at this as the first tranche, which is it's going to be a little bit under the 2 trillion. But let me tell you what people are saying. And one of the reasons why these programs are so important is because we do not have the people readiness right now.
Absolutely.
Between the public and the private sector to wind up being able to support getting the work done on a $1 trillion program. So that's why we've wanted so much to be able to get into the schools and talk to you so you can take it to your families and houses, because this really is no joke. This is an opportunity for us to be able to really, really drive good jobs and good opportunities for folks. So that's the main, and we just want, and it's important for everybody to lock in on that and then not be afraid of the kinds of skills, capabilities, and knowledge that will be. You do not have to be Einstein to do this stuff, okay, you know what I'm saying? But you have to know that it needs to be done and where to go and be able to get the knowledge and the skills that you need to be able to be effective in this new economy. So that's all the preaching.
Thank you. And then one other question is, will that investment go into that one project of civil engineers trying to create a bullet train or railway for public transportation from San Francisco to LA?
You know what? They're trying very hard, not to preach this one, okay, but It's not just for the California high-speed rail program. We have been trying in the United States to, let me put it this way. The United States has listen to me, no high-speed rail system in the United States, period. Okay, you got them every place else just about. Europe's got them, Asia's got them. And when you're talking about high speed, you need to be going over 200 miles an hour. I happen to know, I've been in this business 40 years. We got one stretch in the entire United States, 18 miles, that goes 150 miles an hour. And this is for the country that made the railroads, okay? And so there is a provision that we have been wanting to have more and more high-speed rail. The only one that's the fastest out of the hopper right now is California's high-speed rail program. But Texas, there are several other corridors, okay? And in fact, this administration had really mapped out about 10 corridors that would be high-speed rail corridors in the United States. And so if we're lucky, because once again, California is, in fact, Joe and I, Mr. Slade and I were talking about this the other day, we're almost in a make-believe land in a way in California, because I don't think we appreciate how far ahead we are of the rest of the United States in terms of the legislation that we have behind this, the thinking that people have had around the importance of climate and climate change and electrification, that's why you're a forerunner. Yeah, the bullet train has had its problems, but still we are a forerunner because we're the only ones really out there in the entire United States right now that are actually pushing dirt and moving a program. So yeah,
Absolutely.
so if we're fortunate, there, that will, because you've put these investments in it, then California High Speed Rail hopefully will definitely get some funding. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Yes,
Go ahead,
exactly.
Joe.
No, it's great. No, I love your passion. It's one reason why I wanted to continue being involved. When Dr. Scott and I and when Beverly and I talked, I just said we both concur and just get all this energy. I think one of the things that's really exciting here. So, not only the New Deal, there was also after World War II. There were a number of things that happened. The only economy that was really standing was the United States, and now the United States has actually gone backwards somewhat. Even though we're still strong. But our economy needs the rebound especially from COVID and from all these other things.
Yeah.
And we're going to be bringing manufacturing back. This is going to be manufacturing organizations, even organizations that have been, based internationally are going to be coming here to actually build. And you'll see one of them today. And we'll talk a little bit about those jobs that are being created. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities here. And the infrastructure bill is the one thing that actually supports even what California is doing. So California is important because they have their own infrastructure. They're 2030 goals, 2045 goals, 2035 goals, and those goals are to reduce greenhouse gases. But the goals are actually, what do we do to do that? It's not just, okay, you can't stop, you have to stop producing. It's proactive. It's actually positive, which creates jobs. And it's the biggest job creation. I think it's the biggest job creation in the history of the United States.
Absolutely.
And that's how excited I am about it.
Yep.
And it's so exciting, and the opportunity has never presented itself, and I think it's going to thrive and continue to grow. For all of us. So yeah. So I wanted to just share so we need to improve infrastructure, and I just wanted to mention here the sources of greenhouse gas emissions. It comes from agriculture, commercial and residential industry. Industry is part of electrification. Electricity, some of it comes from, here in California, we do have gas powered plants. We no longer acquire, coal, produced electricity, but we still have gas powered plants that actually are used to, for what's called peak times, right? They're called peaker plants. So that when we have a spike, we use gas powered plants. Many of those are in the Long Beach area. So if you ever get down to Long Beach and you see these plants that are along the inland riverbed, before you get to the coast over by Long Beach, those are actually gas powered power plants. And there's there's an Edison one that we actually use, that they use, that it's actually relatively clean, but it's not clean enough, and we're getting away from gas powered plants. And but the biggest contributor to greenhouse gases is transportation.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you're at, where you're living. It's 29%. It could be up to 40% in some communities. Transportation is the biggest contributor to greenhouse gas, and many of you know it from where you live.
Yeah.
One of the wonderful things is the opportunities to talk with individuals who've worked at the California Air Resources Board, who have a compassion and a desire to want to clean the transportation corridors, where typically individuals who are underrepresented, who are struggling financially, wind up living. And this is part of the reason, a major part of the reason for this transition to clean transportation.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of new jobs in clean transportation. There are a lot of jobs in clean transportation. There's jobs in car charging, infrastructure, installation, and maintenance. There's a local organization that was one of the first of its kind. It's called, now all of a sudden I can't think of it. Gidget.
Gidget,
local.
Yeah, that's a good
Gidget.
one.
Yeah, in fact, actually, one of the ways I got really involved in this, I actually inadvertently introduced him. I didn't know he was in the audience when I was given an impromptu opportunity to speak, and this was really exciting, for me to be a part of this, and to be able to introduce him. I talked about jobs that are coming in infrastructure, including car chargers, and then he got up and he thanked me 3 times during his speech for introducing him, and he was also in that workforce program last Thursday. So it was wonderful to watch him speak again. So somebody who's a friend of mine, and we're not really close, but I want to become closer to him now that our paths are crossing again. So infrastructure jobs, I talked about it briefly. Renewal of the Inland Empire warehousing, electrification of the warehousing equipment, commercial off-road equipment. So there's a number of opportunities that are coming with the infrastructure, and I think it's really critical that we all are prepared for what these jobs are going to be. Not only is it going to be charging stations, but it's also going to be the repair, the building, the acquisition, and of the equipment that's being used in the warehouses. Instead of having a diesel equipment that moves the product around, that's going to be electrified, and more and more of it's not robotics, it's going to be electric. So it's going to be, the warehouse equipment is going to be more and more electric, and getting away from the technology where we're using greenhouse gas producing equipment. So which is very exciting. Transportation, heavy and light duty trucks. There's actually a move for what's called a ZEV, zero emission vehicles, and heavy duty trucks are very exciting because Volvo has recently tested a truck that can go 600 miles on a charge. They're talking about charging electric, the refrigerated trucks. So imagine having a refrigerated truck that isn't making noise all the time because the refrigeration is making lots of noise. So if it's electrified, it's going to be even less noisy. And then we have I think it's Kenmore has a truck that can go 340 miles on a charge. So those are, and they're all American made, and they're all going to be in our neighborhoods, and we're not going to be smelling our trucks going through anymore. And it's going to be a quieter, nicer place to live. And California is going to be much more green, bluer skies, and all the time. And so here's another terminology for you: ZEB. ZEB, so transportation, zero emission buses. Foothill Transit, for those of you who take the Foothill Transit line, in 2014, they were the first fast charging electric buses in the United States, which is very exciting. So the zero emission buses, it was very exciting to see those. Also, the 187 bus that goes from the Inland Empire into Pasadena, they also have they're also zero emission buses, many of them. And one of the times I was in Pasadena visiting, And I walked by one of the buses, and I asked the bus driver, because of my passion for this. I said, "What's it like driving an electric bus?" And he said, "It's so nice. The
Yeah.
passengers aren't hearing the noise. I'm
Yeah.
not hearing the noise. I feel like I'm coasting and cruising, and I'm enjoying myself while I'm driving." And he says, "It's also nice that I'm not polluting when I'm driving as well."
Mhm.
So it's so exciting.
It is. And
So
as Joe keeps saying, one of the things we had as lessons learned in the United States is that we did give away our manufacturing to other places. And you learn as you go along. So baked into all of this is American, make it in America. Okay, make it in America. And so you'll see that, and you see it in the companies that we used to take things over shores. They're setting up manufacturing facilities. And you see a lot of that in Southern California. BYD, Proterra, a lot of these vehicles and stuff that are being made now, they are not taking them and doing everything overseas. They're doing a lot more of it here. So it's all good.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for the introduction to those two companies. We'll be talking about them shortly. So
Oh, great. Okay.
yeah. So innovative mobility. Can I have a show of hands? Who knows what innovative mobility is? Can we just do a quick show of hands on the system?
I'm gonna have to be raising my hand down because I don't know what it is. So
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So let me tell you what it is. So first and last mile mobility. We're talking about trains. We're talking about buses. We're talking about smart cities, micromobility, right? So one of the biggest frustrations I've had is I live a mile or two from a train, and then I have to get in the car or walk on a hot or rainy or cold day to the train. And now, how about for individuals that are living in more difficult environments, like downtown Los Angeles, or you're further away from trains and opportunities when you're in the Inland Empire, you have to go a long distance. So first and last mile mobility is a very big thing. Innovative mobility we'll talk a little bit about it, as carts, it's shared bicycles, shared cars. There's a thing you'll see in certain areas. See a thing called zip cars.
Yep.
And zip car is just an example of these opportunities. So yes, Omar, thank you. Yes, so these are all the opportunities that we have the opportunity to have first and last mile mobility, and all of this is going to be electric and clean, and this will create jobs. It'll create jobs in the location, and that's one of the things that Calstart is one of my most fun hires, is because I'm learning about it and I'm seeing the passion of the candidates is innovative mobility. And California is a leader in it. California Air Resources Board is pushing the concept, and it's just really, really exciting to see that we're doing innovative mobility in our state that is going to wind up going national. So commercial off-road equipment, light trucks, farm equipment. So when we talk about off-road, we think in terms of like an SUV that goes off-road, or an off-road truck. But when it goes to light duty trucks, it's going to be tractors. Like I said, farm equipment. And farm equipment isn't just the tractors that are on, it's also some of the equipment for pumps and things like that. We're going to electrify all of that. So,
And as we talk about the equipment and the facilities and stuff, somebody started in the very beginning and you said you want it to be sustainable. So this is about the equipment and all of that, but it's also about how we think about land use and how we want our communities organized. So you want things to be walkable. You want them to have lights. You want your first pedestrian thing is your legs. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So all of this, as you're in this space, we're really rethinking, what does it mean to have healthy communities? What does it mean to have healthy lifestyle? What does it mean to be so it's that excessive things that are accessible. So you can wind up having nice streetscapes. And then you bring in all these different pieces to connect it together. The bicycles matter, the scooters matter, this matters, because what Joe is saying is like, that's what everybody says, first and last mile, because what I'm concerned about is my total trip from point I put my foot out the door until the point I put my foot in the next place I'm going. And And we got to figure that out so that it's all smooth, seamless, and not difficult for people to be able to do.
Absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely.
all
And,
good. Mhm.
and as somebody said, sustainable. So,
Yeah.
so sometimes you'll see some of these things come and go. And part of that is because people are experimenting and trying, and it's not like, hey, this disappeared. I think what we need to do is now, once we see those things, we use them. We take advantage of the opportunities that are available to us, but also, encourage, help improve, give feedback when the opportunity is there, and encourage your family to use them as well. So, there's a thing, I'm not sure if it's, other places, in some communities, there's food deserts where people have to go a long distance, and the first and last mile is there to help.
Yeah.
So that there's going to be, a car share. There's going to be those, electric cars that are going to be, you're able to borrow those for a while and bring them back to the place where you got them from. And you're not going to have to carry, people aren't going to have to carry bags for a long distance. So imagine being prepared to actually help your communities, to be able to help the communities which you've grown up, you've lived in, you may live in now, you may live in the future, and be able to help upgrade everybody's, lifestyle, be able to enjoy, things. And it's called greenlining. It's called taking the opportunity and improving our communities so that people's lives are much more improved. So transportation corridors. This is exciting for me. I talked a little bit about the 710 to the Inland Empire, right? Long Beach to the Inland Empire is one of my bullets, but the Interstate 5 corridor from north to south. And this is pretty exciting because it's going to be high-speed charging stations all throughout the communities along the I-5 corridor. So there's going to be opportunities for people to actually own high-speed charging stations. It's going to be able to put in thousands of high-speed charging stations for trucks, cars, buses, and and others. So this is going to be very exciting. Satali mentions wishing they were doing more in Chicago. My take on a project like that. So that would be interesting, having
Oh
that.
yeah, everything you're saying totally resonates with the stuff that goes on over here.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of warehouses coming around the South Branch of the Chicago River, because it's a
Yes.
very industrialized area.
Yes.
Also, because we're close to I-55, I-90, we're close to O'Hare, Midway.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So I think what's nice about that is it's something that California used to be the first in a lot of things, and now we're the first and first in this, and I think we're going to be pushing this out and impacting, influencing, and inspiring this. I think it's an inspiration.
Yeah,
It's going to be
definitely.
we're raising people's sights, and to me it's inspiring. It's so exciting.
Oh yes. Yeah, there's a lot of things that stem from California, or just that area in general, like even water recycling. That's something
Yes.
they also want to bring to the Midwest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys have the ability to take on these projects.
Yeah, we're pushing them, and Calstart is in the middle of a lot of it, which is really a lot of fun. So heavy and light duty truck charging infrastructure, we've talked about that. Long Beach, Inland Empire, charging infrastructure, all over the place, not just along the I-5 and all the different corridors. It's going to be infrastructure in the warehousing areas, and then in people's communities, and at church, where mosques, synagogues. There's going to be 2 or 3 of these, and those go in, and it becomes an opportunity to make some money during the week because somebody in the community may need to charge their vehicle. So, and then clean fuels. There are big opportunities coming in clean fuels, and there's going to be clean fuel vehicles, which, one of them is hydrogen. And what's interesting about hydrogen as one of those clean fuels is that the only thing that it produces apparently is water. So, so it actually adds water back to our atmosphere, which is just really exciting. So, Beverly, any thoughts on clean fuels?
No, I'm good. I think the key point that you just made there was on the hydrogen. That's the one that I look at as that's like a real, that's a double whammy right there. But no, I'm good on I've lived most of them.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
And then I think this whole warehousing thing is just absolutely unbelievable. It's a world unto itself, and it's kind of been so. I don't think it's been as obvious to people, okay, because of you've got all the material inventory control, warehousing, the logistics part of it, the trucking, the ports, all of that. And now with this explosion of all of the deliveries and all, I mean, it's really transforming. And so as we were talking about this, the other thing I want you to just always keep on this thing as we keep talking all these sessions, what do you need to have in your toolkit? And what do you need to have in your toolkit? Because I'm telling you, this is not Einstein stuff here. This is important and you need to learn it. But don't think you have to be Einstein. But the other thing I'm going to tell you, you want to be digitalization. You want to be and don't tell me because you got a smartphone, that means you digital. No, okay. You want digital, I say digital excellence, but certainly very high level of digital proficiency, because no matter what happens, no matter what changes take place, if you've got that comfort level and then can also look at things and analyze them, okay, that's the key, okay? And so you put those things in your toolkit and you will not have to worry about either being employable or else having your own business for a lifetime.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
That's what you want to do. Okay,
Absolutely.
take
Thank
it
you,
away.
Dr. Scott. Yeah, absolutely.
Take it
The
away.
next slide. So Dr. Scott mentioned Proterra. So this is local. I'm going to give you 2 examples of local manufacturing of buses. Located in San Gabriel Valley within the metro Los Angeles, Proterra has 157,000 plus square foot West Coast manufacturing facility located in one of the nation's major centers for vehicle design and specialty vehicle manufacturing. That's the source is the Proterra.com locations. Very exciting that I've seen buses. I've not visited the facility, but that's one of my goals, is to go visit and see what Proterra is doing. I got very excited seeing that, quite a few months ago, before I started with Calstart, about what they were doing and how they were building buses locally. And I think this is so very important, to us and to us locally, because this shows that how serious this is, and how serious this is that a company would actually invest locally.
Right.
And then local manufacturing again, BYD, America's headquarters, is located in downtown Los Angeles with 550,000 square foot bus manufacturing facility, and they're also in Lancaster. BYD started with 6 U.S. employees in 2013, expanded to over 1,000. So 750 in Lancaster. Now, BYD is a Chinese-owned organization with huge investments, in the United States. And here are a number of jobs. This is the proof that there's so many opportunities to build, within the United States. Just for instance, last week, Toyota announced $14 million for battery manufacturing to be brought into the United States. To start, that's the $14 million just to build a plant where they're going to be manufacturing batteries for cars and trucks and buses. So this is very exciting.
Right.
One of the things that the gentleman from Kidget mentioned, about electric vehicles, if you're able to fix or repair or develop, you do the work on an electric vehicle, you can do that with any of them.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And so if you have family members that have good technical skill sets and want to do, want to learn repair, if they want to prepare themselves, if they do mechanic type work for trucks, buses, or or whatever, if you do electric of one, you could do electric of all of them. So it'd be a good thing for all of us to have in our toolkit if we can. So.
Right. And one thing I want to add here is that, and you'll hear it now, the speakers that you have coming in on the 9th, okay, coming up this next go, are going to be talking about community benefits and how you in fact have good public policy that drives good jobs and business opportunities, okay? And so you have Jobs to Move America that's here in California, which I think is quite candidly the best national think tank and do tank in terms of what we call inclusive procurement opportunities. Okay. There's a lot of manufacturing coming back in the U.S. and the Tavion Scott we said this is not getting ready to be slave labor. Okay, just being candid. Okay. And so, no, we're going to wind up we're going to make sure that these are good jobs. And so what your leadership have also done in California is that because California spends so much, you have a lot of power, particularly at the public level, to help drive public policy. So the reasons that they have some of these things is because you have legislators or appointed officials who have, you're going to hear about the U.S. employment plan that the U.S. DOT, it's not a forced thing, but it's a voluntary program that they include in their procurements, which actually says, we want you to really show us what you're going to do with local jobs and with good job and business opportunities, okay? And so you'll hear that. So Proterra has, and that leads to community benefits agreements, okay, you know what I'm saying? So when you have a place like Los Angeles, that's the third largest public transit agency in the country, that steps out and says to the world of manufacturers, when you come here, you better come here right, because these are the kinds of expectations that we have for our community. It makes a difference. Chicago did a similar thing. They're the second largest in the United States. That's why when a Chinese manufacturer came for rail cars, they got a manufacturing facility in South Chicago, because they included those kinds of policies and community benefits agreements as part of their procurement process. And I say this because some of you in the room are interested in being a lawyer, being a planner, being a procurement officer, being not necessarily doing this part of the work, but being the ones that are part of the support system that makes these things happen. And all of this stuff comes together, okay? And so, and some people want to, I want to work with community-based organizations so we can share with them all of this kind of stuff. So there is a place for infrastructure. There is a place for you if you have the interest in community building. I guess that's what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So Rosa had a question. Isn't the most environmentally friendly vehicle solar powered? Would there be a way to make it more affordable in the future with more resources in the future? So part of that is part of the infrastructure bill, actually. So there's a 12,500, where individuals will be able to be reimbursed. It's actually a tax incentive for people to buy electric vehicles that are created in the United States with, and it's $7,500 normally. It's 12,500 if it's union made shop. So GM, Ford, the IBEW has impacted that, which is part of what Beverly's talking about. The influence of creating high paying jobs. So and so these incentives are out there to help make it more affordable. And then there's other things too. To make things more affordable, and you may have heard, there was the back in the day there was the cash for clunkers, getting the old carbon, producing cars off the road. One of the things that is part of this clean mobility options includes car replacement opportunities. It's starting small. Organizations and communities are doing it, where there might be it's still highly expensive, but a Nissan Leaf that becomes, it was expensive when it was new, it's expensive used, but the communities are coming together to help replace some of the high carbon emission vehicles with a Nissan Leaf that is basically free to the person who's going to be able to have it, and with all the infrastructure and everything else. So what typically happens with electric vehicle, solar power may be used. You'll have solar panels on your house, and you have a plug-in opportunity in your house and be able to store, maybe even have some battery storage. It's a little bit expensive if you're using a Tesla, but there are options out there where you can store your energy and actually have an electric vehicle that you could use to charge. In fact, actually, Dr. Scott and I were talking about this the other day, that there were people in Texas If you remember the deep freeze in Texas when the power went out
Yes.
for 2 or 3 days,
Yeah.
there were people that got in their cars, their electric cars, and they were able to use because their batteries were fully charged. They were able to, of course, it was uncomfortable. They were sitting in their home, and their house wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah.
But they were able to keep themselves warm because the car didn't use up all of the energy. So.
Right. And even in like with in overall emergency preparedness, what electrification, I'm not trying to say that you're going to be able to hold everything for 10 weeks, but they are like little mini generators. Okay. So remember how when things wind up going down, just like Joe's saying, but you could really wind up with buses and things like that. You could really wind up being able to have some of these enclaves that are really isolated. You could really think that through as part of your community resilience strategy so that you in fact are able to wind up keeping medical services and things like that functioning. They aren't going to be on 100%, but functioning, okay, as a lifeline during critical periods. So there's just so many different kinds of opportunities that really open themselves up. And for you to get smart from the standpoint of community building, what can we do with this to drive good outcomes for people, get good jobs, good self-sufficiency and all that, and for community? Okay, I'm saying, and dig deep so that you become knowledgeable enough. I say knowledgeable enough to be dangerous, be a little dangerous. Good trouble.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So one of the other things too, I want to mention about battery storage. It wasn't really part of my speech, but I definitely want to mention that San Bernardino was the first place. The San Bernardino area was the first place for actual battery storage to be put in place as a pilot program. And then Southern California Edison eventually went to 4 locations, and that's going to continue growing. So one of the things I mentioned was first and last mile. Those are clean mobility options. So I want to just quote what it's to address, right? This report addresses the persistent inequities within transit. In this report, they examine how current practices in the field of transit can marginalize groups of people, including Black, indigenous people of color, people with low incomes, people with disabilities, women, and LGBTQ people. So that the source is from Equity in Practice, a guide for transit agencies. This is talking about that first and last mile. And what Dr. Scott was talking about, no matter what you're studying, whether it's law, policy, planning, a lot of individuals that are in planning are involved in this type of work. And these are the type of individuals that we hire, and we'll talk a little bit about that, coming up here. So we actually will hire individuals that have planning backgrounds. So I just wanted to show how Calstart meshes with what we talked about today and across the opportunities for transportation and infrastructure, work. So, and all the opportunities that we have. So we'll just give a brief overview here. We were involved with cars, trucks, buses, innovative mobility, as we talked about, the clean mobility options, and then fuels as well. And there's a lot of coming up with a thing called communities in charge. So there'll be a number of jobs coming up in that as well. We do technology development, assessment, market acceleration, industry services, and then public policy. And with public policy, for Dr. Scott was talking earlier about studying law. A lot of individuals that are involved with policy have either gotten involved at a local level. It's interesting. I've been interviewing people from all over the country that have worked with some very influential people in their work. So it's a lot of fun. And then, interacting with individuals that have been with the Department of Energy or support the Department of Energy. Pretty exciting opportunities coming up, and always coming with Calstart on a smaller basis. But there's, as you'll hear from Southern California Edison here shortly, there's always opportunities there as you grow within your career. So the jobs that we have initially that might be impacting directly would be paid and internships, what paid while you're still in school, internships paid and after graduation, entry-level positions, associate project manager is our typical title. The degrees I think that are critical for us are environmental science, engineering, data analysis. Remember Dr. Scott was talking about data being digitized. urban planning. She talked about that as well. So planning positions, a lot of the innovative mobility, a lot of the individuals that we hire have either environmental science and urban planning experience, or they're working with the Clean Air Resources Board, or the Southern California, or the California Air Resources Board, or the air quality management districts, et cetera. So communications opportunities, human resources, and many others. And I will give you an example of one individual that who recently applied to a position, had gotten their AA degree in Spanish, and then they went on to a bachelor's and a master's degree in environmental science. And they've been out of university for 3 years, and they're already having a big impact on the work that we are all doing. So there's exciting opportunities for those of you at SBVC. So, and just as an idea here, this is a thought. I want to encourage you to take a look at our on the next page. You'll have the website, but I want to encourage you to take a look at if you look at Southern California Edison International is on the top left-hand corner there. But these are our a group. You can take a look at our member companies. So this is a partial list of our member companies. And our member companies, they're not hyperlinked. Eventually, we're going to be updating the website so that you can. But I want to recommend, these are places where the jobs are going to be. So this is many of the places. BYD and Proterra are both on here, as I mentioned earlier. Those two organizations are both member companies. So if you were to go to our website, take a look at our member companies, research them, and then take a look at what they're hiring for. A lot of this is in clean transportation. So very exciting. So Calstart, member organizations, as I mentioned, check out the list. Go to calstart.org members. So who's going to follow Calstart on LinkedIn? Who's going to do? You want to move back up again for 1 second, Isaiah?
Yeah.
Who's going to? I just want a show of hands. Who's going to follow Calstart on LinkedIn? So this will be an opportunity for drip marketing. You'll get updates all the time of what's going on. And I want to ask you all to feel free to connect with me. Somebody was talking, I think it was Rosa, was talking about networking. Feel free to invite me to connect on LinkedIn. Okay. And thank you very much. So these are just some recent articles of note. We won't talk a little bit about them, but those are some incredible opportunities of what's going on. And the COP 26 just happened. Is happening this week. So it's very exciting news and things that are going on. So, and now I have a special surprise, a special guest. We've added, a surprise talent acquisition leader at Southern California Edison. Say hi to Julie Keller, Senior Talent Acquisition Specialist for Southern California Edison. Julie.
Okay, just a second. I'm getting on here.
Understood. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Oh, there
nice
I am.
To see you again.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me join. This was a nice kind of last minute opportunity for me to talk about Southern California Edison. We have some great opportunities coming up. Southern California Edison, first of all, we offer an excellent career. We do offer entry-level positions all the way up to very experienced positions. And our benefits, we're a Fortune 500 company, our benefits absolutely reflect that. And that has to do with, we have medical, dental, vision, 401k, all available from the first day of employment. 401k is company match 6% up to the first 6% you contribute. And in lieu of a pension plan, we offer another 6% into your 401k that you don't have to contribute to. So benefits are great. Everything else you would want, tuition reimbursement, short-term, long-term disability, gift matching funds, like I said, tuition reimbursement, healthcare reimbursement up to, health like gym membership type reimbursement up to like $400 for the year. So that's kind of our overview of how great our benefits are, but really we offer a lot of opportunity for growth within the company. Currently, we do what we call bulk hiring a few times a year for several different positions. One of the positions is like we have our energy advisors. Those are our customer service reps in our call centers. And they're more than customer service reps. They are really advisors that really dig in and help our customers understand the connectivity issues as well. And then we also have groundmen, and those are the people that are out there, on the ground, laying the cable, really getting in there and making sure that the cables are connected and that you get your energy. In addition to that, we have an internship period. We have internships. Internships are available for people that have not graduated yet. So if you're already senior, we can't have you do the internship. But if you are that junior, going into senior, that time frame, internships are great. Our internship hiring is actually right now, we're right at the end of our internships, but the internships, they have internships in all sorts of different areas from planning, marketing, just everything. The other thing we have right now is, thank you for pulling that up. We have lots of internships, so if you're interested in an internship, your next time frame to do this is to really look at September for the following, or August, September, because that's when we're hiring for the next year. The position that I'm recruiting for right now is an excellent position. It's called a field planning tech trainee. Trainees, that means your training is paid. It is a combination of virtual and in person, so it will be a hybrid permanent position. What the field planning tech trainee does is learns, it's your foot in the door to becoming a planner. And what the planner does is, for an example, any of that, when you see you look out there at the electric poles, and one of the big projects is working on our wildfire mitigation. So a lot of those poles need to be replaced, and it's the connector that wraps around the pole that needs to be replaced so that we can prevent some of these wildfires. And thank you for bringing that up. And the part of that position is the field planning tech. So once you're a trainee, once you successfully finish that 6 to 8 week of training, then you become the field planning tech. And that position, you are going out in the field, you are doing visuals of looking at these poles, looking at verifying. Sometimes the maps we have aren't always accurate. So it's verifying what is out there, taking pictures of it, looking at entering it in our different computer systems to make sure that what we have is correct. And then that helps us know, how is this connected? How is this going to help us? What parts do we need to order? What do we need to do to be able to replace this? But it's not just replacing. It's also, we have 3 different areas of planning. We have a technical planning, which is replacing existing. We have a new development planning, which is your new tracks or new developments, new shopping centers, something that's not built out. It's bringing the electricity and the power to those regions. And then we have what we call local planning. And local planning is any addition to an existing structure. And just to make it simple, if you have solar panels being added, you're going to need that. Local planning is going to help you determine some of the, the wattages. They get involved in that. If you are adding an extra panel to your house, maybe you're putting in a swimming pool and need to add an extra panel of electricity. That's what local planning does. And those are very, very simple examples. The other things that they work on is, you know, like a big one, you know, Amazon is huge out in that Inland Empire area, and you know they're adding on facilities to their existing plots of land too. So those are all things that we do in planning, and this field planning technician is an integral part. From there, you're able to move into planning, and then move up from a planner to a senior specialist planner to a planning advisor, and then up into like a supervisor position. But there's a lot of room to grow, and even into project management. This is a great entry-level position. We are hiring right now, and when I say we're hiring immediately, the process takes a while. So our start date is actually March 14th, but the position is posted right now. The position you can apply, need to apply, and I'll tell you, with any bulk position that we're hiring, and just as a good rule of thumb, if you see a position out there on our website, apply within the first 10 days, because that's the point where we start forwarding resumes to other people to review. Mm-hmm. So these field planning technician trainee positions, these are posted right now to November 14th. So you need to apply before then if you're interested. Now, what kind of background are we looking for? We're looking for someone who has experience in architecture, mapping, engineering, CAD, drafting, construction, and we're not even looking for a ton of experience. We're looking, if you have some experience, even if it's a little bit less than a year, it's a great opportunity to get in. The pay for this position is $28 an hour. Like I said, benefits start from first day of employment. And then there is a process, certainly a long hiring process that we go through. But if there's anyone, you know, graduating in December, this is a great field to go into.
Julie, I could just jump through this. I could jump through this screen and just hug you. Okay, go.
Am I talking too much?
You. No. I wanted to ask a question. I'm not sure if you're going to get there or not, but can you inspire our audience as to where the locations are that we talked about briefly?
Yes, absolutely. So right now we have Southern California is all over Southern California, even up to Fresno and Tulare. We're out in the desert. So I know that we're talking about San Bernardino right now. I have a lot of these field rep positions. We have 30 openings to be filled in 21 locations. Some of those locations are Ontario, Redlands, Yucca Valley / 29 Palms, Barstow, Victorville. Trying to think of what else I have, Pomona, Covina. And we're not just limited to there, but I'm giving you those locations that are kind of out that way. But there's 21 locations, and if you are interested in any position, you apply to every position that you will honestly commute to. Right. Don't apply to all 21 if you're not going to go to all 21. But you apply to each location that you are interested in. Don't think I'm going to apply to one and it's going to catch it for all of them. Right. That doesn't happen. And I'll just say that's not just an SCE thing. That's just with any company you apply to, you've got to apply. And for SCE, it's highly competitive to get in here. So apply and don't get discouraged. If it doesn't work out for you, keep applying. Right. Everything's a matter of timing with any company you go to.
Right. And I'll ask the team now, and Mr. Omar, if you tell us, I'm assuming, but we'll do a session on resume preparation and all of that, if it would be helpful. So I'm not asking people to jump now, but just make sure that you let Mr. Castro know, and we'll figure a way to be able to really put that into the mix. And then I gotta say this, and I'm gonna shut up. Just when we talk about how these things cross over. Now, Julie's talking about what they're doing with the poles. Now, I'm gonna tell you something about transit, what they do with bus stops. Do you know that every single bus stop, if there's 15,000 of them, 20,000 of them, every one of them are zoned. They are everything she's talking about was happening with that pole It's happening with the bus stop location. You got to take the pictures, whatever you call the name, you've got to be able to cite it. You know, if the people say, can you move it? Everything is all these things. And so I can assure you that the skill sets are very similar underpinning because they are a site. They are a site that go into the master system because they're a building block. These are basic building blocks of what takes place with infrastructure. And the same kind of thing, you use that, you go up a rotation. So let me shut up and let me turn it to Joe. Go ahead, Joe. Take it away.
I just wanted to reiterate what Julie was mentioning real quickly. I will tell an Edison story if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm an alum, there was one of the managers. I was at a conference for university, and he had said, "Well, it took me about 20 times to actually get a job." He actually interviewed 6, but part of it was my coaching to him was, "Yeah, but when did you apply?" I said, a lot of it is if you apply early, as Julie said, you will be considered. And I said, it'd be interesting if you were to be able to go back and take a look at those times where you did apply and didn't get an interview. And I said, then of course you're interviewing with others, but you had 6 interviews and you got hired. That's actually a pretty good number for a company as large as ours. And today he's a senior manager within the organization. So it's a great story. Now he could tell that to others. So so Edison's a great opportunity for anybody, great opportunities for growth. Et cetera. But Julie, go ahead. Continue.
Go ahead, Julie.
I'm not sure what else to say. I will say that I personally live in Anaheim Hills, and our headquarters is Rosemead. I almost did not apply because of the distance, and oh my gosh, I am so glad that I did. I'm coming up on 2 years now, and this has just been one of the best places to work. And we're a long-standing company. We have been around, I think it's 137 years. So we have lots of protocols in place. We have safety is our number one. It's our number one value and mission, making sure everyone is doing their job safely and doing it right. And I am so thankful and happy to be here and glad that. And I'll tell you, when I applied, I hemmed and hawed for a day or two, and I thought, I knew I couldn't wait. It was like the 3rd or 4th day it was posted. I thought, I better get in better apply before it goes down. And that is so true with any position, like any company. Apply as soon as you see a posting come up. You can always withdraw later if it's not a fit, but apply. And I will say, Beverly mentioned the bus stops. They will say one of the big things that we're looking for someone who can read a blueprint in this position, someone that can read the map, that can read the blueprint, that knows where to go to find things. A lot of it is not just looking at the poles, it's looking at where is this manhole. And I would assume that the same thing with you is, this is important because when you're working with the public and you're working on streets, we have to coordinate the closure of lanes to improve or add to our infrastructure.
Absolutely.
So it is more than just us doing work. There is so many other facets in cities and customers, both residential, commercial, nonprofits, that you are interacting with on a daily basis.
And what Julie's saying too is that the accuracy of the information, most of the time people say, oh, the as built. Well, some of this stuff is like 30, 40, you got to generalize, but you got to send somebody out there to actually be able to do the documentation. Then the same kind of pole, if you got a light rail system, you got overhead catenaries. So things that wind up happening in certain areas is that you'll be looking and probably walking with the person from Southern California, Edison. I know when we were putting our streetcar line in Atlanta, everybody sitting at that mayor's table every week. It was the transit people. It was the Southern Edison. It was the Georgia Power. It was Georgia Power at the table. It was the utilities at the table, because it was like, we are not ready unless we are all ready. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And so those are the kinds of things that wind up in it's so enriching. But then when you come back and you look at what you've been able to do to bring something wonderful to a community and working together, it's unbelievable. So
Well, and I do want to say, with our experience that we're looking for, this is a great opportunity. We don't have a lot of positions that truly actually need a college degree to get into. We do want the experience. We want you to have experience, have the class in drafting or AutoCAD, or have the engineering class and classwork. But if you don't have a degree, this is a great way to get in and have a long career with upward mobility. And I will tell you, one of the funny things is just something odd about me. My kids are 18, 19, just graduated, from high school a year, 2 years ago. And the first thing I think of is, I wonder if there's any of my kids' friends that are not cut out necessarily for the full college experience, that maybe this would be a great place for them to get a start. They have a good head on their shoulder. They're great hard workers, but maybe they don't want to be that behind the desk, and they want to be out in the field and be able to go and see other people. They're great with customers. This is a great opportunity for that. And that doesn't mean you're always going to be out in the field. If you move up into planning, you're going to wind up behind a desk and out in the field in combination as well.
Oh, Judy, this is wonderful. And you were saying that that you have the tuition reimbursement programs and everything too. So once you get in on the floor, then you start getting you can also qualify for the benefits that can help you to be able to go. I'm telling you, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh Lord, this is so exciting.
All right. So do we want to open it up to Q&A, Beverly? Or is that the last step? Thank you, Julie.
To get to Q&A. This is real stuff here. Okay.
Thank you, Julie, for responding today. So
thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Okay. Who has a question?
Some good activity earlier too. So that was awesome. So.
Okay.
So I want to know who's going to invite me to connect on LinkedIn and go in on LinkedIn and follow Calstart. Who's going to be able to do that? Thank you, Satali. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the questions that I received earlier, I posted a link for it, was how to apply to Southern California Edison jobs, but it's on the edisoncareers.com website, right?
Correct. And for this particular position, it's called a field planning technician trainee.
Okay.
And this position is how I got to invite Julie. What I did was, somebody posted it on LinkedIn. I contacted them directly and said, hey, can we get someone to come talk about promote your job? Because I think this is really critical.
Yeah.
And I was out pressing, talking to people last year or earlier this year about the role, and then there's a number of other positions that are open all year round that Julie was talking about. So.
Exactly.
Great opportunities within the company, for getting started. So it's really an opportunity, really awesome.
Yeah.
If I can add, we do hire these positions. We do a couple classes, 1 or 2 classes a year. So even if timing isn't it right now for you, we'll have this probably again a couple times next year as well. I don't have dates, but I can tell you that the hiring will start again probably in another 6-7 months for the same position for the next class.
Well, Julie, we want to make sure that we got Joe, and we gonna eye your eyes you too, because these are the kinds of opportunities that if you don't know, okay, you know what I'm saying? And then they're like, this is like basic. This is foundational work that takes place. And it's the kind of thing, like you said, you don't have to wind up having the degree at this point. This lets you be able to start at the ground, and then you can earn while you learn, okay, you know what I'm saying, and make your own decisions about how you want to move up and when you want to move. Sometimes.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you say, I need to be doing this exactly right now because I got to stabilize this. In 2 years, I'll do this, I'll do that. So it gives you that opportunity too. This is great. Okay.
And also, I was gonna say, while we're waiting for questions, I saw on the Edison careers website that they have this talent network that I thought
There
was
you
pretty
go.
cool. So I'll put the link for it in the chat. But if any of you guys want to join the Southern California Edison Talent Network, it looks like they'd be sending emails for career related news and different opportunities. So that's kind of fire in
Yeah,
my opinion.
this is
One of
one. Go ahead, Julie. Go ahead.
One of the things you do is when you sign up there, you put your area of interest. So if you're interested in planning, you join the network, you tell us you're interested in planning, and then it'll, and you enter in, basically you're completing a profile without applying to the job specifically. So there's kind of two parts. One is you build your profile. Two is you apply to the jobs when you're ready. But if the job isn't out there right now that you're looking for, you join this talent network, and then we'll send you, it'll alert you when the positions come up that you might be looking for.
Okay.
And there's also drip marketing, right, Julie?
Yes.
Yep.
You get an email once or twice a week or once a month. And you also get Energized by Edison, which is their newsletter, which has incredibly important up-to-date articles of what's going on in the world in which we live. So it's really critical stuff. So
this is great. This is absolutely great. Okay. All right. Well, I tell you, going once, going twice, going.
There are some. Looks like there's some messages in chat.
Okay, let's go to. Can you?
I don't see any. There aren't any questions in the chat.
All right, I just see
talking.
Okay.
All right, good. I can't tell. I can't tell. So.
Okay.
Right.
So I heard that there is an appetite to wind up doing just a good overview about these resume things. And I tell you, it is a different world now of how you do resumes from the old world. Okay. So I'm going to because it's so much of it is really remote, and the way they screen these things to pick up keywords and all that kind of stuff like that. So I'll get somebody that does this kind of stuff to come in and give like a little quick tutorial on things to think about. Okay. It is a different world. I'm telling you, it really is. Don't send those 25-page things anymore. They don't look at, people don't look at that. So we'll get somebody in human resources to kind of help with that. Okay. Now, what does that say? Who can see this transcript? Is there?
Oh, that's live transcription that was requested by one of the.
No, I actually, it actually popped up on my thing. I didn't know what it was. Sorry about that. Can we undo it? Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then we want to come back again, and because all these things layer, okay, you can tell, you keep hearing kind of a consistent theme, okay, is to remind you to please go to, this is what I'm saying to you. There's certain things, part of this is about you developing your own professional and personal network, okay? So there are organizations, Calstart is one of them, okay? They Southern California Edison it's called this drip thing. When the eye is all over with and you're trying to, what was left in terms of, contacts, places I know that I can let my fingers do the shopping. Okay. And I'm saying, well, you don't have to run all over the place and try to herd, where should I go? Where should I look? There, it's not trying to promote people to promote people. We're trying to promote information. Okay. And I'm saying, and that's part of the thing that is difficult. If you're not in this world, then you wouldn't have a reason to know that these things. And that's what we're trying to do is unlock that. And then you will be surprised. People will, when they go to some meetings here and there when the world opens back up. Okay. And I'm saying, go to some, little sessions and things like that. Stay, like they said, make sure you get your information in, tighten your and I'm gonna tell you, it's what you know, but then also who knows you by what you do. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So you are building your professional network, and you're putting tools in your toolkit that will last you for a lifetime. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say this: the early bird gets the worm. And if you never get on the mound, if life is not a spectator sport, you got to play it. Okay. And so if you do not you cannot complain if you do not get on the mound, you cannot hit the home run. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And there are things that you got to do to get on the mound. So that's what I tell people all the time, and we got to play it. You got to play the deck. Okay. And so that's why I want you. And if you get knocked down, don't feel real bad. If you dust your little knees off and say, I'm going, okay, I didn't come through that time. Well, you know what? And you keep going at it. And I tell you, that's how you can be successful. So the bottom line is this, I'm just trying to say, if you're not successful the first go round, then my thing is, if you knock me down one time, I'm getting up for this. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So just keep on, be persistent, and the takedown Scouts Creek, you pretty much get out of it what you put into it. So that's your like little pep talk. That's your pep talk for the night, right?
Very good. That's absolutely right. So,
yeah. So
thank you.
Any other questions that you have for this evening, or?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Right,
Well,
excellent.
now remember, you know what you got. I'm telling you that we got the go back and please take a look at that. I'm telling you, when you listen to these people that are on that Calstart piece, I was taking notes, okay, and I really, really liked the whole business development, the business opportunities part. So, and how you get engaged. And there was one young woman that was on there who, one of your representatives from this area, your state representative, she was very, very young woman, very articulate about how you stay engaged and get engaged in your community, about being a citizen, being a good citizen. Okay, so that's all that I'm talking that up. But you got to register, and then you'll get the link. And then when you get the link, it'll take you into it'll take you into that recording. The other thing is, I want you to be thinking now, because December 14th is the day that you all are going to submit these videos. And some of it's going to be for goodie bags. And the other is we've got that internship opportunity for next year. Okay. And so that takes more, but that takes the video, that takes the transcript, and that takes references. Okay, and so that goes in on December 14th. And then we're going to have the session. We got a couple of sessions coming up, but the one that's on November 30th is going to be the one where we're going to be wanting to have a conversation about what you all are thinking about as what you think your video will be about, like this reimagining infrastructure. Okay, so, and we'll also do a brief survey, a Survey Monkey, on that one for the class. I've been around a long time. I've learned that if I let you go, then it's hard to get your attention. So not just you, but anybody. So we are very interested in your feedback, your anonymous feedback in terms of how the program has worked for you, because I know it's an honor for us. Okay. So that's my story. That's our story for tonight, and we're sticking to it. Okay. And Joe, I just want to thank you so much. And Julie, oh my God, it was just like, we're just very practically oriented. And so it's one thing to talk about it, but to be able to actually bring real opportunities into this experience is just unbelievable. And so we are very, very, very appreciative. And so
thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, Sid Lolly, Mr. I. Hey, what can we say? We love you. Okay, and Mr. Omar, as always, I think I saw Miss. I think I saw Miss
Miss Epps.
Yep, I saw Miss Epps, and we'll be back with you on the 9th, and we're going to be having Jobs to Move America. We'll be talking about community benefits agreements and all that, and we'll also have California High-Speed Rail. And their youth coordinator, Jacqueline Castro, is going to be talking about their diversity programs, but also their student. It's a big student program on We Ride, okay, talking about high-speed rail. So that's going to be on the 9th, okay? So we will see you next week, okay? Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.